Okay, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Renee, and I am a counsellor and a sexologist. My husband loves to tell people that he's taught me everything I know. And I like to just let him believe a lot of things, but we all know the truth. Sorry, babe. Now, perhaps you're wondering what a sexologist is. Well, I get the fun job of studying and talking about sex all day. And the fact is, we live in a highly sexualized society where sex is idolized. Our culture is full of sexualized images, sexual innuendo, and sexualized advertising. Would you agree? Our society promotes and celebrates a loveless sex. And this frames and influences our view on sex. In all this, sex is still very much a taboo subject. We can find it difficult to talk about it on a personal level. There's a lot of shame and confusion and misunderstandings attached to sex. And this can impact our relationships and our marriage. So let me ask you a few questions. When it comes to your marriage, does your sexual intimacy draw you both closer together, or does it leave you feeling empty, disappointed, or hurt? Does it leave you questioning what your partner really thinks? Does it feel like a chore and you can't wait for it to be over? Everyone just look straight ahead right now. The truth is, sexual intimacy has the ability to do either. It can draw two people close together, or it can be the wedge that draws you apart. If we want sex to draw us closer together in our marriage, we must look to the one who created it so that we can understand his design for sex. Now, before I start, if you're a couple here, why don't you hold your hand, your partner's hand, and just make sure that that stays like that for the rest of the night, okay? Okay, I want to give you a first point, and if you're taking notes, tonight's going to get really practical, okay? And we're going to have a little bit of fun, all right? The first point is that you are created for intimacy. We are created in the image of the Trinity, and therefore we are created for intimacy. We are wired for connection. We have this need to be known by another and for another to know us. This need to be close, affirmed, and loved drives us into relationships. We are relational beings. Intimacy is letting another person really see you and sharing who you really are with them. Intimacy is about closeness. It's about being known on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, sexual. Intimacy allows us to experience the fullness of each other. Now, sex education, we all got it at school. It teaches us about sex. It teaches us about the penis, the vagina, contraception, and pregnancy. But what it doesn't teach us is about intimacy. Sex is so much more than mere skin on skin. And marriage is the most intimate relationship we will have. So how can you build intimacy in your marriage? Well, intimacy is created through vulnerability, safety, and trust. It requires time, communication, gentleness, generosity, kindness, and being intentional. But the payoff, experiencing the fullness of each other, is worth it. Sexual intimacy is just one way of experiencing intimacy in your marriage. And tonight, that's what I'm going to be focusing on, exploring more of business time chats. So, take some notes. I want to share a bit about the foundations of what sex is first. And my first point is that sex is a gift. God created and designed sex for marriage to be a gift, to celebrate your love through mutual pleasure and satisfaction. It was never designed to be a shameful thing. Sex is a gift that each partner gives each other. The gift you give is more than intercourse and orgasm. The gift is you, your whole self, the most intimate part of you, bearing all, hiding nothing. The gift is you loving your spouse the only way you can. The way you love your spouse, no one else can love them the way you do. Sex is valuable and it's precious, and it should be guarded, protected, and appreciated. It should never be demanded, taken from someone, controlled, used against someone's will, or used to manipulate them. What makes sex beautiful is that it is freely given. So sex is a gift. My second point is sex is sacrificial and others focused. Now, sacrificial and others focused sex is about serving one another to comfort and care for your spouse's needs and pleasure more than your own, to give yourself up for another. So the world, it has framed sex that it is about me. It is about meeting my needs, my pleasure, my release. Sex is my right. And today's culture tells us that everyone is always having sex. Everyone always wants sex, and no one is ever saying no to sex. But can we just be real here for a moment? Is that okay? And maybe you've already experienced this for yourself, there will be times in your marriage when you don't feel like having sex. So what do? Everyone was quiet just then. Well, the Bible tells you in 1 Corinthians 7 that the marriage bed must be a place of mutuality. The husband seeking to satisfy his wife, the wife seeking to satisfy her husband. Marriage is not a place to stand up for your rights. Marriage is a decision to serve the other, whether in bed or not. See, sacrificial love, it seeks out, goes to great effort to understand how to care for your spouse, to make them feel safe and comfortable. Sacrificial love learns how to love your spouse the way they want to be loved, not necessarily the way we think they should be loved. My third point is that sex is vulnerable. It's a naked, no shame relationship. In Genesis 2, verse 24, it says, "That is why a man leaves his father and mother, and he is united to his wife, and they became one flesh." Adam and Eve were both naked, and they felt no shame. Now, to be naked before another person would be incredibly vulnerable, right? We are completely exposed. But let's take that to another level. And to be naked and sexually intimate with another person, with your spouse, is complete vulnerability. To be in this state of vulnerability and to feel no shame is an act of trust. We are trusting our vulnerability to our spouse. And if vulnerability had words in this moment of nakedness and sexual intimacy with our spouse, it would say this: "Am I enough for you? Do you accept me the way I am?" And that is why marriage is the safest place for two people to be vulnerable together. When there is trust and acceptance, intimacy can grow, bringing freedom. Freedom to be who you really are. Freedom to love and to receive love. Hiding nothing, giving everything. Freedom from rejection and shame. And my fourth point is that sex builds intimacy. Now, Song of Songs is, the interesting, spicy scriptures. In chapter 2, verse 16, it says, "I know my lover is mine and I have everything in you, for we delight ourselves in each other." Now, the goal of sex is intimacy, and intimacy enhances your relationship. Sex bonds you together. Sex draws two people together in a close, attached, intimate way. When two people are sexually intimate, and I'm not just talking about intercourse, bonding hormones, oxytocin, vasopressin, dopamine, endorphins are released, causing the couple to form a brain-level attachment and strong emotional bonds with each other. And every time you experience an orgasm, oxytocin, the bonding chemical, the same chemical released when you breastfeed your baby so you can bond with them, it floods your brain. So if you're still holding hands right now, I noticed you guys have let go. Now, if you're still holding hands, you are forming a brain-level bonding right now. See, sex with intimacy makes us relationally whole, complete, and fulfilled. And sex without intimacy can leave us relationally broken, incomplete, and unfulfilled. And so you have the opportunity to grow and develop intimacy in your marriage. Let yourself be seen by your spouse. Cultivate safety, trust, and acceptance. And imagine the freedom you will experience in your marriage when you love like this.